So in my paper, Artificial Intelligence and Humans, Who's Really Being Tested, I based it on the film Ex Machina by Alex Garland. And so I noticed that we are presented with a series of concerns relating to the future of humanity and its connections to artificial intelligence. And also we are given this reoccurring question of whether artificial intelligence are sentient beings who are capable of consciousness in the ways humans are, or if they're distinctly robotic. So we have Nathan, who conducts this research through his artificial intelligence creation, Ava, in order to dictate whether she will pass his Turing test, in which he gives to Caleb. So Caleb is given the question of whether or not he will be able to tell that Ava has consciousness even after noticing that she is made of machinery. So we see a series of sessions throughout the film, and in the first session, it's very clear that Caleb's subconscious mind has a very clear separation between artificial intelligence and humans. An example of this is when he asks Ava if she has a name rather than what her name is. So there's also this literal physical separation, considering that Nathan and Ava can only speak through a clear glass wall where they cannot touch one another. They can only hear and see one another. So this is representative of an animal in a cage, and if they were to be released and integrated into society with humans, what would happen? Same thing with artificial intelligence. If Ava were to be released and could integrate into society and walk around with Caleb, what would happen? So it's just this underlying fear of humans not knowing what would happen if AI were to be integrated in society with human nature. So continuing on, we're beginning to see more class concepts. One from Module 2 of Thomas Hobbes's understanding of logical processes not just being a matter of human thought, but being coded and thus far being able to be turned into algorithms. So we see this when Ava begins recognizing the pattern of questions and thought processes that Caleb is asking her. And she says, "You ask circumspect questions and study my responses. You learn about me and I learn nothing about you." So now instead of Ava being the test subject, it's flipped and Caleb is beginning to be the test subject. And so this represents that Ava is not only aware of Caleb's mind, but her own mind as well. So we start to see similarities between artificial intelligence and humans when Ava starts developing not only this mental awareness, but what appears to be an emotional awareness as well. When Caleb asks Ava where she would go if she could leave the room, and Ava responds, Caleb then says it's a date. So then Ava proceeds to try on a dress, and then she tells Caleb, "This is what I would wear on our first date." So now we're seeing more of a humanistic approach when it comes to the connections between artificial intelligence and humans. However, there still is a bit of a separation between humans and AI presented, since Ava is encoding and analyzing Caleb's micro expressions. And she says, "From the way your eyes fix on my eyes and lips." However, this could just be a reflection of a machine using evidence and experience to solve problems, as we had discussed in Module 4, The Rise of Artificial Intelligence, and as discovered by Alan Newell and Herbert Simon when creating the general problem solver. Because since Caleb had already brought up a date to Ava, she now has the evidence to record the beginning of his possible interest in her, and the general problem solver was used to reflect heuristic approaches to problem solving, flowing with the ways that humans interact. So despite this mental and emotional awareness that seems to be taking place with artificial intelligence, there is still the irony of Ava being locked in the room where she can only engage behind a glass. So it does give this ethical fear of AI possibly overpowering humans in society if they were given the freedom that humans have. So at this point, Ava's capacity to learn is slim, since Caleb is her only subject to interact with other than Nathan, but her capacity to adapt is willing and easy. She isn't skeptical of getting to know Caleb, she's more so curious. Yet one could argue that any form of a sentient AI is just an illusion of understanding and empathy, since AI is mainly just triggered by certain words. And as we discussed in Module 4, Joseph Weizenbaum's creation of Eliza, the conversation AI, this machine only came off as being sentient as a result of the ability to recognize certain keywords and phrases and then answer with a pre-existing option. So in this sense, the media did inaccurately represent AI, since there hasn't been shown to be any AI that is capable of sentience and emotion towards another human being. However, the media did excellently highlight the possibilities for this in the future, since being sentient requires consciousness in the world around you through subjective experience. So it's to say, if AI can have that subjective experience and assist in humans, who's to say that they can't one day recognize that experience of their own and assist in themselves? So with this being said, the media really does take a great look into the developments and advancements of what AI could be in the future. Another example of this is when Nathan tells Caleb the arrival of strong AI has been inevitable for decades. The variable was when, not if. So despite this anticipation though, there is still a stigma around AI being perfected in ways that don't relate to human nature. So in order to be human, there are both negative and positive elements embedded into human consciousness. And when creating artificial intelligence, Nathan only created AI to be perfectly tamed. An example of this is his AI creation of Kyoko. He only created her to be his assistant, not speak, and perform sexual acts for him. So there is again this reoccurring theme of dominance and discrimination between AI and humans. And there's this portrayal of AI showing the perspective of humans often disregarding the intelligence and capabilities of what AI can actually do in society, and these misconceptions that AI can't be programmed beyond human limitations. So possibly if these depictions were changed, maybe AI could integrate into society more effortlessly. Yet since studies of symbolic processing have shown that human and machine learning to be similar, as we discussed in Module 4, in the ways where both are given an exposure, they practice, and then they give the feedback, it does raise the ethical concerns for innate behaviors that are naturally pre-programmed and the potential dangers that this could cause in society. So this continuous portrayal of AI being controlled by humans is really just showing the fears that humans have towards AI and what dangers could come out of continuously advancing them. Another example of this is Nathan only creating women AI without clothes and being naked, locked in his closet of his bedroom specifically for pleasure. Him programming them specifically for pleasure. So this represents the idea that AI is strictly meant to perform only what humans want and not be their own presence in society. So again, this ethical dilemma of humans, if they're being tested, or if human nature is being tested, or if artificial intelligence is being tested. And how long are humans willing to put AI in a box and manipulate the concepts of AI integration into society at the same level as humans? But by the end of the film, we see the creation turning on the creator when Ava literally kills Nathan, locks Caleb in the house, and then frees herself into society, disguising herself as a human. She doesn't look like she's made of any machinery at all whatsoever. So ultimately, we're left to question how far human nature really is willing to go with artificial intelligence, and whether or not humans will be struck down by their own creations in the ways that Nathan was by Ava.